Hey, what's up everyone? This is the Watchlist video for Wednesday, March 16th. Quick reminder that the FOMC announcement will be tomorrow. I don't get too deep in the weeds with this stuff, but I think everyone's expecting a half-point raise. If we get that, I don't know what to expect. If we get no raise, I don't know what to expect. And if we get less or more than that, I don't know what to expect. So I do expect just usually a dead market in the morning and a little bit more chaos in the afternoon. You could easily argue that it's not going to be a shock event to the market and cause it to tank because everybody knows it's coming. It's probably more going to be about what they say afterwards about, how many more raises and all that. So just be cautious tomorrow. The SPY did gap up a bit today and actually had a pretty strong day. I did make a couple of calls in chat today. This was one of them, DWAC. And this is a screenshot of what I typed in the chat room for those that weren't there. DWAC over 64, parentheses, oversold bounce idea. It hasn't broken its morning high, which if you watch my videos at all, is something that I look for when I have something on Bounce Watch. This one hadn't broken its morning high since it was over $100, right? And I'm calling it over 64, so it's had quite the haircut. So we'll look at DWAC here. Yeah, look at that. I mean, ever since it pierced 100, it's just been pretty much straight down and going to 15-minute candles. These vertical lines are the beginning of the session. So I'll take today's candle out, all today's candles out of it. So yesterday, put in its early high and sold off. The day before, same thing. It never broke that early high. I always kind of just put a little marker in your mind, or you put your mouse there and look to the right and say, well, it never broke its early high. Same thing the day before, day before, day before, day before, day before, day before. Even when it was over 100, it didn't break the afternoon high. So you could argue this right here was the last time it kind of had a high of day break in the afternoon. And then it went to over 100 since then. So then scrolling across. So then today, I was watching this one pretty close because I thought it's overdue for a bounce. Also kind of cool that it went slightly past a whole number on the opening candle. So now I like the whole number inflection point 64 break, knowing that we have the high of day just 17 cents above that, and there's a 64 break. And since that's a 15-minute candle, it all happened within 15 minutes, right? But it ended up going higher, by the way, at the close. But I scale out into strength. I try to keep a few shares for the bigger move if that's going to happen. But once I start scaling out, if the rest of my shares, it comes back to my entry, I hit out. I'm not going to take a loss on any shares once I've started paying myself. And I actually made pretty decent money on that quick $2.25 move. Another call that I made was XPEV. I was watching the Chinese stocks because they've been decimated. As a matter of fact, I'll switch to FXI, which if you look up here, it says China large cap ETF basically, right? And it's just been straight down and then gap down today. And if you remember, I had YY on the watch list, and YY did give a bounce. I think Keith in chat gave the idea of a break of its early high, which is our gap down bounce play entry. So 2480, it hit right there. The Keith's idea would have been over 2480, and actually had a pretty nice move, went all the way through 27. Anyway, when I saw that, and I saw FXI bouncing, I started looking at some of the other Chinese stocks that are also really beaten up, which is pretty much any Chinese stock. And so I looked at NEO and IO, and then I looked at XPEV and Baba and Baidu, and I looked at all of them, and I settled on XPEV, XPEV. Well, I can even slide this over. This is my chat room post, XPEV ORB idea, right? And obviously you see it's timestamped. I put that in the chat well before it got to this arrow. It was down here at the time, but that was just an opening range breakout call, and this is 10:25 is about the time of day I put that out. So it was probably at the top of this candle. And it ended up breaking shortly thereafter. The entry would have been over the high, which was over 2058 right there. And pretty quickly to 2190. And if you're a day trader, you understand how much money can be made on that move. So there's a couple, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. There's a couple highlights from chat. What am I watching for tomorrow? I'm going to watch some of these Chinese plays again. You're going to see a few of them because the bounces may continue. They're really beaten up, and if the FXI holds up, we may get a bit of a short squeeze in some of these. So NIO, I'm putting on long watch for tomorrow. LI, another Chinese EV maker, pretty interesting, maybe over 20. but we'll see how things set up. I'm going to put YY back on watch, see if it's going to continue that bounce. Remember, a lot of these are really beaten up. PDD, I believe, another Chinese play. So there's, like 4 of them I'm going to watch. APPH is an interesting chart. Had a nice pop back here. I believe it's in that kind of food space, agriculture space that has been pretty strong lately. And had a nice pop right here and is kind of flagging. So that one goes on long watch. Big is Big Lots and had a nice pop today. 5-minute candles will show you where all the volume came in. Certainly going to watch that for a follow-through day tomorrow. UPST, somebody in chat pointed this out to me. Remember, I liked this all the way back here. It had the gap up, went down with the market, then gapped down and was really strong. And I loved it kind of over that 160 area, and then it just rolled over with a lot of other stocks, right? Kind of looking like a double bottom from this January 24th. Didn't quite get down to these lows, but put in a nice turn today on nice volume. Kind of interesting. Maybe over 99 tomorrow is sort of a 2-day high break. Misuse, of course, terminology, but still, you guys can see what I'm looking at. If it breaks over these last couple days, we might get a decent little follow through on the bounce. BFLY. Nice volume today. It was rolling over into earnings, I believe, and had a nice pop on earnings. May have actually a little higher on an insider buy in after hours, trading at 464 right now. Certainly worth keeping on a chart tomorrow for a trade. Remember, by the way, I make my money between the bells. I'm in cash every night. ASTS had the nice gap up, and then an inside day, then a gap up, and now 3 days down, taking out the lows of the gap up day, but a bit of a bottoming tail. I'm putting this one on bounce watch. SNOW, putting this one on bounce watch. It gapped down and then kind of tanked, had a little bounce, and it's another leg down, but going out today close to its highs, putting that one on bounce watch. Seems to be oversold here, getting kind of far from the moving averages. AMTX, it's a lower volume stock. I mean, last 5-6 days in a row, it's barely broken 1 million shares. Nonetheless, it's fallen from 16 down to almost 10 in 5 sessions. That one goes on bounce watch. Remember, looking for a snapback bounce. HOUR, big volume today. Closing well off its highs, though, but I'm going to put it on a chart. A couple more. SONM, big breakout today. We'll see if it gives any kind of follow-through setup. And then FF, which I don't think I've ever heard of or traded this thing. But in after hours, it popped, I think, on earnings. As I'm talking, it's trading at $9. So a potential gapper tomorrow. Done babbling. I'll see everybody in the chat room in the morning. Have a good night.